I love the favor of God. In fact, I have a whole CD set called The Power Twins. It's anointed with favor and anointed with honor. And in my decree booklet, one of the really most powerful decrees I make is on the favor, because it says in Psalm 5:12 that favor surrounds us like a shield. God surrounds his righteous with favor as a shield. And so you can be surrounded by that blessing of favor. And when you have favor, you become like a blessing magnet. All the blessings of God get attracted to you, doors open up. You know, it's just amazing, this wonderful, undeserved, unmerited favor that God gives. And when you have favor, it brings influence, and you become an influencer when you have the favor of God resting on your life. Well, our friend Lance Wallnow is going to share some remarkable information with you. It's in two parts, part A and B. I want you to watch both links because they're both extraordinary. And so this is one, and then there's another to follow, and it'll give you a full message of Lance sharing some really great insights and impartation for you on favor and influence. Here he is.
Well, there's two thoughts, and one is natural and the other is spiritual. But in fact, in my world, they're both connected. When God raised up Daniel in Babylon, for instance, here you've got a 13-year-old kid raised by a foreign country, and he was a conquered minority. He is castrated in order to be part of the king's eunuchs. He has every reason in the world to become a bitter and defeated young man, and he goes on to become one of the great heroes of biblical literature. But what it says about Daniel, it's interesting, is that Daniel and his friends were learned in the sciences, knowledge, wisdom, and literature and language of the Chaldeans, which meant they were socially relevant, academically informed, and in a business sense, it says they knew how to behave in king's palaces. So God gave them an ability to excel. And that word excel in the Hebrew is a pretty flippy word. It's the word yatir. It literally means something which juts out higher than others. So you could say it's somebody who stands out. And when I look at Daniel, I realize that God gave him a gift, or a natural gift, and his associates for acquiring languages and science and knowledge and stuff like that. But what Daniel did was he was able to leverage that acumen and that talent into an ability to merge it with a supernatural capacity. And his supernatural capacity is what's called a gift cluster. It's a combination. Usually when a person has a gift that God has given them, that it moves in a group, and people don't realize they're clustered. In his case, he had the ability to dissolve doubts, interpret dreams, solve riddles, and understand enigmas. Now, that may not mean much to anyone out there, except that you talk about 4 things you need to do in the economy. It's, you have to dissolve the doubts of people that are dealing with anxiety, you have to figure out trends, you have to solve enigmas that don't make any sense, and you have to anticipate the future. This is what Joseph did in Egypt, this is what Daniel did in Babylon. And for the most part, when you think of a religious calling, people think of a monk, a priest, or a Pentecostal, guy with a plexiglass pulpit. The last thing they think of is a politician, a government guy, or an economist. But that's the real realm these guys operated in. Daniel went head and shoulders above others because he took the God-given natural talent and consecrated it to God's purposes. And that's one of the great keys that I'm seeing happening more and more, is people that have disciplined their talent to be good at what they do. And it may not look like a religious field. It's in the arts, it's media, it's business, it's government. But what they're doing is they're discovering God is a God of the whole earth. He's not limited to just church in the corner on Sunday. He actually owns the whole property. So they're emerging in these fields. And what's really interesting is I'm studying what it is that enables someone to be preeminent in a field. And the natural part is that anyone who is at the top of a profession, whether they honor God or don't, has somehow intuitively or intentionally capitalized on 4 or 5 signature strengths. They've identified what they do best. They've identified the basic synaptic talent God wired into their brain and body so that they're leveraging their God-given talent design. And they're not doing what they don't do well, they're only doing what they do well. The second thing, which is fascinating, is, have you ever watched American Idol? Notice that the ones who fail, which is my children, they're so sadistic. I'm watching these young people singing their guts out, the 20 million people, and they can't carry a note. And I'm wondering, Didn't anybody in their family pull them aside before they got on national television and say, Harry, we know you love music, but you can't sing for any. Nobody does that. But Harry's there in my living room, and I'm going, oh, the poor kid. And what happens is, you'll see people that are rejected by this group, and they're so preoccupied with the passion of what they're trying to do, they're not even looking at the signals. And so what